Hello everyone, here we are again to continue the series for Aerospace, for BattleTech, and Tarron and I are going to show you bombing, and we're going to do some return fire.
Yeah.
We're going to see what these mechs can do to that annoying plane.
I don't know if I'm happy about that bit, but we're going to go with it. Bombing.
Bombing.
Swoosh. I nearly forgot. All right.
So like before, we have the ground map. So this is a everyday ground map for just your standard
everyday
BattleTech
map
that you play.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the other one at the Aerospace level. This whole map is that little hex there. Yeah.
All right. I've rethought my approach to this whole thing, and
Okay.
I'm here now. So
ground forces move first.
So you're there.
Yep, and Aerospace always gets to move.
Aerospace would drop at the beginning of the turn. They would drop half their velocity.
Yep, so now he's doing
and then
5.
they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't have to spend any thrust points at all.
Nice.
Good to go. Coast in and drop some bombs on these moes.
Okay, so you have ended your movement in that hex, which means you can interact with
that map.
This map. Yep.
So let's do a dive bomb first. So most fighters are equipped to carry bombs. We may as well do a little bit of a thing here.
Yep, just the basics.
You'll have a certain number of bombs that you are allowed to carry.
Yep.
I think you can carry...
It's one every 5 tons.
One every 5 tons.
Yep,
okay.
and every 5 bombs worth
takes your movement down.
Yeah, your thrust drops by 1.
Yep.
So you can't really go too nuts with loading up with bombs because you'd be just too slow, you know?
Yeah. So each one can carry 1 bomb for every 5 tons of mass, but each increment of 5 bombs, or part thereof, reduces their safe thrust by 1, and you recalculate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a minimum, I think you have to have a minimum thrust of 2 or something, or 2 or 3 to take off.
To actually
take off. We're talking, all these examples, everything we're talking about is like standard gravity. Everything's been compared to like Earth, I guess, technically. Like standard thing that we're used to. So
yep. So we'll call this like 4 or 5 bombs on here, and we'll just do the thing. Let's pretend I've only got the 1. So bombing is a +2. And there's a little note there. Terrain and target movement modifiers, including the -4 modifier for an immobile target, do not apply to any type of bombing attack. Fighters can make altitude bombing attacks from any altitude, but suffer a 2-hit modifier equal to their altitude. So that doesn't apply here. I'm going to dive bomb for the first one. That will apply in the next one.
A lot simpler. Yeah.
Yeah. So a unit at altitude 5 or lower can make a dive bombing attack against a single hex on the flight path, though doing so requires the fighter to dive to altitudes. The fighter can drop 1, some, or all of its bombs in the attack.
Oh.
If the attack is successful, all bombs explode in the designated hex. If the attack fails, the bombs scatter before exploding. To determine the direction of the scatter, roll 1d6 for each bomb dropped and consult the dive bomb scatter. Now, the dive bomb scatter is just the standard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counting around the hexes because you're dropping it basically straight down.
Yeah, so we've got it on 245 here.
Yeah, so let's say we've got, say, 3 bombs in each run. So I've got 3 bombs here.
Yep.
You make 1 attack.
Yep.
And it's a +2. So I'm on 6, 7, 8.
This is the one you're going for because he's easier.
Yeah, I might as well go against the 8 rather than the 9 because we know I can't roll 8. Yeah.
Yep. That's it. Gunnery 4. You haven't got any damage. Things like that.
There we go. All bombs, it says. So.
Oh, yeah.
That's a 9. I could have hit the other guy. So all 3 bombs land in that hex.
You attack per bomb.
Oh, it is per bomb? Dead. It says all.
Does it?
Yeah. So a unit can make the dive to altitude. So I go down to altitude 3 first off. There we go. So I'm down to altitude 3 now.
Fails.
The fighter can drop bombs. 1, some, or all of its bombs in the attack. If the attack is successful, all bombs explode in the designated hex.
Yes, you're right. Sorry. So that's good.
Yeah.
So all 3 hit. That's good. So that speeds up the dice rolling too. I like that.
Yeah, it does. So all three will hit in that one
boom.
hex. You do a 50-50 chance for them to hit either the front or the back.
Correct. So 4 to 6 is the back.
Mm.
So roll 3 dice for it.
And we're just using standard high X bombs here. We're not going to go into any of the fancy bombs just yet. There is a cluster one that does like all the hexes around, and you can get infernos, you can get laser guided, you can get all sorts of stuff. But we're just going to use standard HE bombs, which cause 10 points of damage to all units in the target hex.
Per bomb.
Per bomb. So there's 30 points of damage. So 4 to 6 hits the back.
So front, and rear.
Yep.
And it's full body, full whatever they're at. So
yeah, and split into 5 points groups.
Groups.
So there's 4 5-point groups hitting the front, and 2 5-point groups hitting the back.
Yeah. It's a lot. There you go. So there's like 3 sort of PPC hits.
Yeah.
Maybe they threw all the parts of a PPC.
And
blah, 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 blah.
I mean, technically that is over 20 points of damage, which means he has to try and stay up.
Yep.
And it's they count as explosive. So if there's like a VTOL hovering above him or something like that, it also goes up a level. I think it's 1 level for explosive stuff
or something like that.
Area of effect weapons. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's very cool.
That is very cool.
If you had the cluster ones, it would have done 5 here and then 5 in every hex around, isn't it?
So that would have
type of bombing.
Yeah, that would have been again. It would have started the same thing. So 2 of them would have hit in front of him. 1 of them would have hit behind him. But then they're only for 5, so that would have been 2 5-point groupings on his front, 1 5-point grouping on the back, and then this guy would have taken again 3 5-point groupings, but they all would have been to the rear because it counts as coming from the location of the impact.
Yeah, that's right. So it's
similar
a bit quicker for everyone else around when you're trying to find out where the hits are, but it's still.
So if he had been behind him, then they would have hit him in the front. But because he's there, then he'd get 3 5-point groupings in the back.
But 30 points of damage
in a single hex.
To everything. So to give you an idea, battle armor, like the clan battle armor, all the squads would be naked. If they got hit with 1 bomb, that's 3 lots of bomb. It
would destroy stuff.
Bomb.
Yeah,
just everything gone.
Even with 3 cluster bombs, if you've got a big group of like Omnimex with battle armor on them, most of their battle armor is going to get wiped out.
Oh yeah. So that's deadly in itself. You just need to clear away and just
you're dropping like the lighter units fairly quickly, assuming you can hit. Again, in strafing and striking, we mentioned this, but it is actually the target numbers can get quite high for this stuff. But there you go.
Well, I think we need to shoot back because
that
was horrible.
I think we should let you shoot back for this one, and then we'll reset and we'll try altitude bombing, and then you can shoot me back again. How's that sound?
So I'll just shoot with this guy. So we'll assume it's the prime. So 2 ER large and 3 ER medium clan lasers.
Wow.
All right. So I'm really angry, so I want to shoot back, Tarron. So where are you on this map? You are there.
Taking into account the speed of the aerospace units, the fact that they're flying multiple hex maps in a single turn, it's hard to get direction and location and all that sort of stuff. So what they do is they say go by location 0909. So if you look at your maps, they're all basically numbered the same way. And you have 0909 right there. I don't know if you can technically see the numbers. You probably can't see the number properly. Just trust me. So there's 0910 and 0908. 0909 is right there, right? You draw all your ranges and lines of sight and like attack directions, and everything comes from you to 0909. Okay, I'm assumed to be there, facing in the direction I'm facing. Okay. Now you also get extra range depending on how high I am. I'm at 3 altitudes at the moment.
Because you dropped 2 to do your dive bomb, didn't you? You're at 5.
But you're shooting with him.
I'd shoot just him.
Just him. Now he was the
direct target.
Direct target, which means that
we don't. So this guy, because he was directly targeted, he doesn't have to measure his range to 0909.
No.
in fact 0. He's got the best option to
0
shoot.
hex.
He had the best timing, most opportunity, and he took it.
Now, bear in mind, this is only if you're playing on low altitude maps like we are here. If you're doing it on the ground, like actually putting your dudes on the sheet, which people have mentioned, and again, I'm going to mention, you can do it, but you need a lot of space. Then you just use the locations and directions that you're at. It's
straight out to
not a problem.
Yeah.
This is an abstracted system for using low altitude maps.
Yeah.
So normally you would add 2 hexes to the range of the weapon for each altitude. So you'd have to be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus 6 for my 3 altitudes. So you would be normally at 12.
12, yeah.
Right? And you'd base your range for your weaponry on that 12 hexes. But because I dived right at you and hit you with weapons, you've really got the perfect opportunity to tilt back up and just go shoot me. Yeah. So you're considered at 0, which means you're going to be doing this at short range. So way you go, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny, like when you're measuring range to aerospace, it's not necessarily just your weapons. If you're the target, then you basically don't have to really worry about it.
No.
Pulse is good.
Yeah. It's very good.
So range was just 3, which is extra 2, so 6. So it's short, and medium.
So you got a 4, 5.
So 4s and 6s. Well, that was a run.
Oh, it's a run. So 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
And then you've got pulse on there as well.
No,
so
that's just normal.
No, okay, just normal.
Ooh.
So
bang,
one or two hits there.
No. Yes. No.
Okay. So when you shoot back, you're considered, I think that would be nose, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So the angle of attack counts.
Yeah.
Like from the space.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
But
all right.
I think you're taking that from 0909, not from where I'm attacking you. So technically you're shooting at my rear, which is aft, and there's a +0 for aft. Yeah. So you still hit with those 2.
Okay. Yeah. Because it doesn't say anything different other than it says if you're the target, your range is 0. Yeah. So you'd still follow everything else that it states. So okay. Yeah. Well, that doesn't give any bonus or penalty, so that doesn't affect those rolls. So you took a 10 and a 7.
Yep.
And that would be to the aft location. So you roll those and then apply them to...
Yeah. So I would then have to make a control roll because I've taken damage in a turn while I'm flying in atmosphere. If I had taken 20 points or more of damage, you get a +1 for each 20 that you take.
But just taking any damage causes you to
any damage.
Yeah, it's very
There's a modifier for lots of damage, but if you take any damage, you have to make a control roll. As a fighter or small craft, you get a -1 to that control roll. So,
luckily, that's exactly what you needed.
I nearly stuffed up the demo. Jeez Louise. Oh my God. All right. So yeah, so I got exactly what I needed. So I'm not out of control. I'm not going to lose altitude or anything like that. And I'm fine. And I've just done 30 points of damage to a single unit in a single turn.
That's right.
Yay!
Yeah. It's pretty nasty, isn't it? So.
All right, so let's reset your boys there, and I'll reset myself here, and we'll do a...
So we've reset it. You can do the same thing. It's fine.
Yeah,
so
well, that's...
Move, boom, there we go.
I'm gonna do the same deal. Okay,
so this is
altitude.
High altitude bombing.
Yes, altitude bombing. Now, I can be at any altitude I want, but you get a modifier to your attack based on how high up you are. So you have to be, altitude bombing works similar to strafing, allowing a fighter to attack a continuous row of hexes along the flight path. Altitude bombing can attack up to 10 hexes. But the fighter must drop at least 1 bomb and no more than 2 bombs in each hex.
Ooh.
Okay? All targeted hexes must be adjacent. If the unit carries several types of bombs, you have to choose which are targeted at which hexes. And a 2-hit modifier is applied, which is equal to the altitude of the aerospace unit. So I'm actually going to adjust that and come in at, say, 3. Because that'll be hard enough. What's that? 5, 9. So it'll be 9s. These are all going to scatter. All right.
Target-rich environment, it doesn't matter, does it? You just like...
Yeah. So let's say I've got 4 bombs. I'm gonna do a run along here. I'm gonna put 2 in there, and I'm gonna put 2 in there.
2 there and 2 there.
So this will drop by half at the start of the turn. You've already moved. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. End up in there. Now this is not me diving at anybody, so I keep the same altitude. I can change it if I want to, but I keep basically the same altitude.
Yeah.
You make 1 roll for each bomb. I'm going to drop 2 in his hex, 2 in his hex.
We'll have the high explosives, eh?
So you roll for the hex, and we're just going to use high X ones. So there's 2 bombs per hex. There we go, 2 big dice. Let's use the big dice.
Yeah.
So I got a 4, 5, 6, 7. Bombing is a +2. Yep. So bombing is a +2. 8, 9, 10, 11s. Ooh. I'm going to miss. All right. Now, each one that misses scatters. So for altitude bombing, you've only got the front. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you move them a d6 each. So if you're altitude bombing, it's probably a good idea to take the cluster munitions, things that do a big area of effect damage, because that will work better. But let's pretend these are just high X. Oh, I'm only rolling 1, so I only really need to roll 1.
That's what it's, because it's all the bombs, isn't it?
All right. So neither of those would have hit you anyway, so let's just pretend I missed. Okay. So I missed him. I've got 2 bombs on him, so I have to roll 2 scatters, a 5 and a 6, so they're both coming off this hex here. And one of them is going 5 and one of them is going 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 1 bomb will land in each of those hexes and explode. Okay. If you do this on a map where there are friendly units, bear in mind that you may hurt them.
Yeah. Yeah, team games would be real interesting, wouldn't they?
Real interesting. All right, let's try and hit this guy. So that was an 11. This will be a 12 because he's got a +3.
No,
that's not going to hit. So let's roll 2 scatters. I got a 5 and a 3. So 1 comes out this way, 1 goes that way.
Yep.
So this one's going front. So it'll come out 4 each. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
So 1 will explode there, 1 will explode there. Okay.
Wow.
And
it's a lot harder, isn't it?
I messed up, and you can explode back at me. You can shoot back at me.
Shoot.
So blam, 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 blam.
Yep. Well, I won't fire my streaks because they just never work. The game with this recently is lots of opportunities to fire 3 streak 2s.
3 streak
didn't
2s.
Even go off.
8 whole turns. Didn't hit a single thing.
Yep. Didn't fire at all.
Beautiful.
Quartermaster lovely. Brought all the ammo back. Yeah.
The Tarron effect was sitting at the back laughing. It was glorious.
So but
we digress.
But yeah, I mean, it's basically shooting back is essentially the same as the dive bombing.
Yeah.
Because he's the target. If this one wanted to shoot, it'd be the same thing. You'd have to measure out to there.
But because they were both the target, they're considered to be at 0 hexes.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They both got the 0 range.
Targeted. So that would also count for the strafing.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine. So you can open up and attack up to 10 along. That's a lot of return. Hope you got enough bombs and you're really confident. Well, that's a lot of return fire.
So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. There's 16 bomb slots listed on here, which would drop my thrust. If I took all 16, it would drop it by 4.
Yeah.
But I've got
just take 15 of them.
If I take 15, it drops it by 3, so I've got a thrust of 3, 6.
Okay.
Is it 3, 6? 3, 5.
3, 5. So you can take off.
And I've got 15 opportunities to
150 points of damage to potentially one target, if not just send it everywhere.
Well, that's it. I mean, if you've got half a dozen dudes all along like a path here, you could just say, okay, well, those 2 are in a straight line, or they're all roughly near this, so I'm going to altitude bomb along a line, drop 1 bomb per hex along 10 hexes, and just hope they all hit. They're all cluster munitions, so they're all going to do 5 points out like that. or pick 5 hexes that everyone's within a few hexes of and just explode out. You're probably going to miss, so they're going to scatter, so they're going to do some damage. There's potential for some really big hits there. I mean, you saw that first one with the dive bomb. If you get your numbers right, then you can really do some damage. But you have to slow yourself down quite a lot in order to load up like fully.
Yeah. But you could at least attempt. If you're flying high altitude, just to do the bombing run, so you can speed yourself up if you've got enemy fighters coming in. You just sort of dump and just say, "Yep, this is the best we can do."
There are situations dumping ammo. You can apply that to bombs if you want to. You can do it in an emergency situation to say your thrust has gone down, and now with all those bombs loaded up, your thrust is below 0 or something. You can dump all your bombs to get your thrust back up to max, like taking engine hits and things like that reduces it. Or you can just dump them if you don't want them anymore.
Yeah.
Right? But honestly, like I say, if you can find a thing where everyone's within a few hexes of each other, or within even 5 or 6 hexes of a straight line, so you've got people lined up, like I happen to have some dudes. Oh, sneak peek for everybody. Look at that. Look at that sneak peek.
It is a sneak peek.
Right, so you've got a bunch of people lined up there, right? I've got a straight line about there where I could say, okay, I'm going to drop 10 cluster bombs along that line from altitude like 6. So I've got some ludicrous target number. They're all going to miss. They're all going to scatter. They're all going to go 6 hexes.
Up to 6
hexes in that area, and do 5 points surrounding. Like if you've got a big group of enemies like that, then that's a solid plan.
It's just more bombs. 15 bomb drop.
Yeah, it's not going to necessarily do anything. But if you go, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and drop 2 bombs per hex.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Bomb, and they'll all spread out this way, so you might get people within the 6 hexes that are getting hit.
Oh,
that can work.
That's nice.
It's not necessarily sensible, but it could work.
Some of the other things you can attach to the bombs is like tag designators.
Yeah, so instead of a bomb, you can put tag designators on there. So you can dive in and do a tag designation on a unit for, say, artillery or whatever like that.
Or even your own. Because you can put arrow missiles, but they take 5 slots, 5 bomb slots.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
like I say, you can get the cluster ones, you can get laser guided ones. So if someone is tagging someone, you get a -2 to hit.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It is still it still counts technically as a bomb as well, rather than with the artillery that counts as 20 points to the individual unit that's being tagged. This gets you a -2 to hit, but it says there it acts exactly like HE bombs. Oh, except when. Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't see the except. Okay.
There's the read the whole
There's
thing.
always the read the whole thing thing. That's rule number 2. But yeah, so it'll just hit the 1. But I mean, that is potential for all of that damage to go against 1, especially if you're dropping multiple bombs in a hex.
That's right. Yeah.
And you still, I think, would still split it front and back, wouldn't you? Even if they're designated, it's just a modifier to your attack roll. So you still have to,
yeah. But you're hitting, that's what you want. You just want.
You've got a lot better chance to hit.
And they're just such a fast unit. So you've got that's an aerospace fighter, but I mean you can get conventional fighters like the Mech Buster.
Yeah, that's the only one that really comes to my mind. Yeah. But there are others. There's lots of others.
But still, that can carry 4 bombs?
I think so. Yeah.
And then it drops to 4, 6.
And it's got an Act 20 on the front of it, so it's like they don't call it a Mech Buster for nothing.
Yeah.
You can strike with that against basically rear armor of any unit you feel like hitting.
Yeah, true.
If you're doing it on this, and like you say, sort of 4-6.
4-6 if it's low, if it's got the bombs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, otherwise 5-8. It's
nice.
Yeah.
That's really good. There are Inferno bombs for those of you that are interested. Oh, yeah. Maybe I'll go into those later in a workshop video, but there's a lot of different types.
There's heaps. So yeah.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to say it again. The aerospace stuff is a bit dense. It's a little difficult to wrap your head around sometimes, but it gives you that extra layer to your BattleTech games, and it can be quite fun. You don't have to play the whole thing from space down here. You could just have a low altitude map and say, oh, I've got a fighter, you've got a fighter, here's the battle, let's see what happens, sort of thing. That's fine.
Yeah.
I
mean, you could have bases. You know, you could just have a base combat or whatever, destroy the other base.
And like I say, if you don't want to do this bit with the actual like aerospace stuff, then you can simply say, okay, spend the BV on the fighter, work out what it's got, and have some sort of abstracted system. So you can do a strafe or a strike every 2 turns. That's fine.
Yeah, that's right.
That works.
It's destroyed. Yeah.
Right. And it stops you having to muck around with a lot of the aerospace rules that are there, like figuring out your velocity and all that sort of stuff. You can just say you're allowed to do a strike or a strafe. You can pick what altitude you're going to be at. You can pick whatever you want to do. They get to shoot back at you with like whatever modifiers are there.
Yeah.
Right. You can do that. It's fine.
But this works well. Look, if you've got, you know, at most maybe 4 fighters aside,
I think if you can,
that's pretty good.
If you can get your head around it and you can get the stuff that you need together, then it's well worth it. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, so that's it. So that's a little look at bombing and a bit of return fire. Obviously, your pulse weapons, your LBX is good.
Yeah,
that gives you your real bonuses.
Yeah, and
targeting computers.
Theoretically, being the target of the aerospace unit gives you a golden opportunity to shoot it down.
Yeah.
It does hurt, but it means you're at 0 range, which is really, really good.
Yeah, I recommend you keep your infantry well away from them. Because they can't shoot at them first and foremost. It's aerospace units are out of bounds for them.
But the high X stuff, the area effect stuff, does not play well with infantry. And it, as we just discussed then, it can seriously do in even battle armor.
Yeah. Big time.
Big time.
Yeah, bombs are nasty. So there's BV for them if you use like apps and programs. They usually work it out. I think there was a guide of like 10 BV or something for like the cluster ones.
Something like
and
that.
20 BV for a high explosive. You just add it to the fighter or things like that.
If you're using the programs, I haven't really dabbled with the aerospace much yet. I'm working on it. We're probably going to do a pimp my plane at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm pretty sure it will add up the BV for the bombs and anything that you add to it itself.
Yeah.
So I'll double check all of that, and when we actually do the pimping video, I'll let you guys know how it works. But yeah, it's all costs BV, it all costs stuff, but it is really, really cool.
It's fun. So there we go. So bombing and return fire, more for the aerospace series. I'm enjoying this actually. This is really, it's good that we sort of have a closer look at this. And now that it's sort of coming down to the ground integration level, this is sort of what you want to know.
And this is probably where we're going to end up with, like, once we've gone through all of this stuff, we can do LAMs and all of that sort of junk, and we can start really doing like a more integrated battle report for you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully.
That's cool.
If I can stomach it. We'll see what happens. I don't know if I want to lose that badly. Dear.
All right. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.